Welcome to the first episode of the Tim Winter series on the Build It Better podcast. Tim Winter is the founder and CEO of Paradigm Building Group in Fairfax, Virginia. I'm Zach Hopkins, and it is my job to dive deeper with you into what Tim has learned, what he knows, and where he's going. If you want to be the best, you have to learn from the best. That's why Build It Better exists. It's designed to help the next generation of residential professionals connect and communicate with the best in this industry. Tim is a friend, a mentor, and has some of the highest standards I've ever seen in this industry. There could not be a better guest to have to kick this podcast off. Tim, I just want to say thank you and taking the time to share your journey. And I want to start right in the beginning, you growing up. So where exactly did you grow up? Were you from this area originally?
Sure. So first, appreciate you having me on, first episode. Glad to be the first leader on your show, man. Excited for it. Quick story about myself, and a little backstory, I guess. Born and raised outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So yes, I'm a Pittsburgh everything. Penguins, Steelers, even the Pirates every now and again. But yes, born and raised outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, about 45 miles north of the city, in Monaca, Pennsylvania, near Aliquippa. Went to Center High School, and it's now called Central Valley High School.
Okay.
They've merged two schools, a little smaller region. They brought more kids into class. When I graduated from high school, there's 130 kids that graduated from our school. So,
wow.
So pretty small. But grew up, learned to work at a young age. My parents instilled this deep work ethic within us. Ever since I was young, I was free labor for my dad, I guess.
Yeah.
My dad.
I know the feeling.
I guess that's why they have kids, right? Like especially back in the day, that was more kids they had because they needed more workers.
Exactly.
But no, I mean, growing up, it was a lesson in work hard.
Right.
My parents taught me this mentality of if you want something in life, you got to work for it. It doesn't come easy. Great story for that is, I was probably, 12 or 13, and the first, Jordans came out, and they were like selling for $50 or $60 back then, and my mom only paid $30 for sneakers.
Yeah,
she's like, if you want those shoes, you got to buy the rest.
I love it.
And so at 12 years old,
Yep.
I hopped on my bike with the help of my mom, and I started a paper route.
Wow.
And that was kind of my first taste of actually kind of earning some money.
Mm-hmm.
And so from then on, I kind of had this drive to do more. So instilled with me from an early age to work for things.
Mm-hmm.
Things aren't just handed to you.
Exactly. So did you have, a couple other jobs throughout high school growing up, or, this is 12 or 13, so kind of walk through high school. Did you have some
Sure.
other jobs with,
Sure.
dealing with different customer service, things like that?
Sure. Well, I always worked, like I said, around the house. My dad always had us doing chores.
Okay.
As soon as you were heavy enough to sit on the lawn tractor, you were out cutting grass.
I love that.
You had to weigh enough to keep the blades
exactly.
moving. So
my dad used to put a phone book on it. So I've heard so many stories about that. That's so cool that you come from the same kind of place like that.
Yeah. So I was out working in the yard. We grew up on 4.5 acres, and my dad had many trees and plants, and there was always landscaping and mulch and things that needed to be done outside.
Work with your hands.
Yeah. Always, digging trees and different things. But one of the things my dad taught me with that was, he's like, I want you to learn to work with your brain, not with your back.
Okay. And
so he's always drilled that in from an early age.
Yep.
And so I've always worked alongside my dad, even though we butted heads a ton growing up.
Mm-hmm.
He used to buy houses and fix them up and rent them out.
Okay.
So I learned this real estate business from him at an early age. So
right.
I always worked with him, and eventually until I was old enough, maybe later teens, so I was able to negotiate to finally get paid
right.
for some of my efforts.
Of course.
But then from there, I also worked when I was 16. Again, going back to my mom and their work ethic of, if you want to drive, you got to buy insurance and you got to
Yep.
pay for gas.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a job at the movie theater. And man, that was like the best deal ever.
Yeah.
Free popcorn, free sodas and stuff, and free movies.
Right.
And you're making money doing it too.
Yeah.
So it was a great job through high school and even into my freshman year of college.
Awesome.
Definitely did that, and then always in the real estate world of helping my dad doing some different things from time to time. And actually bought my first house when I was 18.
Awesome.
with the help of my dad, he co-signed the loan and things for me. I mean, this is outside of Pittsburgh. That was $22,000 for the house.
Right.
Big different than in Northern Virginia.
So you're transitioning into college at that point, kind of 18 years old.
Yep.
And so where'd you go to school?
Went to school, Penn State.
Okay. And, if you want to kind of talk a little bit about Penn State a bit in terms of your path there.
Mm-hmm.
You say you were into the real estate and different
Yep.
things like that at a very young age, so you kind of saw a little bit of that. You're buying your first house at 18. That's a little bit different than most 18-year-old kids, right?
Right.
So, were you just like gung-ho on this path to this is where I'm going, I need to major in X, Y, and Z? Or were you kind of that kid that was like, I'm not sure? How kind of talk to us about that and how you got to construction.
I think my major was get out of school. I didn't, it was a box that you had to check to progress into the next level of life, right?
Okay.
You're trained, go to school, get a good education, go to work, do this and that. But that was never my path because I seen some things differently at an early age. I mean, my mom owned her own business, several different businesses. She cut hair out of the house. She owned a catering business while we were growing up. So always this business mindset. Yeah. My dad with the rental properties. And that's kind of what led me to, even purchasing that property with my dad is turning it into a rental. We rehabbed it, we rented it out for a little bit, and then I think later part of my senior year in college we ended up selling it. Made like $5,000 on it. But that for me was a spark that I really liked real estate. I learned a lot of things at an early age, and I figured out how can I really grow in this real estate world. And through college, I was trying to do some other real estate stuff, still work at the movie theater off and on. But really my goal was to get out of school. I went to school for business at Penn State. Labor relations and business is what I studied.
Okay.
So from then on, I left there and came to work for NVR down in Northern Virginia. So my wife of almost 18 years, right? So we graduated in 2001 from Penn State. That the fall of 2000 we got engaged.
Okay.
And our goal was whoever got a job first, that's where we were going.
There you go.
And so I was the lucky winner of that, and
awesome.
We ended up here in Northern Virginia working for NV Homes, and just fell in love more and more with the construction business.
Yep.
Residential home construction has just been it's exciting. It's exciting.
I just want to ask, we'll have some people in the audience obviously going through whether they're in school or thinking about college and different things. It's a very colorful topic inside of the construction space, right?
Sure.
So one thing that I always try to look for, I've seen dots connect in my life 5 years, 10 years apart, is if you had one piece of advice for someone in that age group going into school or if they're in school, are there things that you feel that you've learned? Your majors are very specific to the trades, very specific to the construction industry. You're learning about labor and all these different things. So are there pieces that have connected over time that make you say, wow, I'm really glad that I got that education at that point?
It's kind of a mixed feeling about education right now because of the growing costs.
Right.
And I think everyone goes through the first 2 years where they don't know what they want to do, so they pile you with these electives and different things like that. For me, I kind of knew what I wanted to do.
And that's where I want to really be able to drive that point home.
Yeah.
Because it's all about that plan, right? And it sounds like you had it.
Yep.
So there were pieces along the way that you were able to pick up at Penn State that now have.
For sure. I think one of the biggest things I learned in college was really to operate life on my own, away from my parents, right? Mm-hmm. Paying the bills, paying the rent, doing some of those things that my parents, when they sent me off, all right, you're out of the house, you're growing up. Yeah, they help with some different things, but really the concept was I learned life a little bit at an early age, 19, growing and that. But then from there, it's like I knew that I always wanted to be in somewhere in the residential world of business. I always had a business mind, always had the idea of how to make money, how to grow, all those things. And so the college thing for me goes back to if you could just skip the first 2 years of electives and really drill down on some of the things that were super important. Like I'd go back right now if I had to go back and look at my life again. I'd go back and get a finance degree.
Mm-hmm.
Everything in my world revolves around finance.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that we do, from looking at potential deals to working with clients, looking at numbers. I mean, the better you understand the concept in business of money,
Right.
the better you're able to grow and talk through some of that. Now, I've had a crash course.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of, you know, lessons learned, and
Yeah.
and you know, I paid a different type of tuition, you know what I mean, by doing deals and making decisions that
Yeah.
cost me time and money.
Experience isn't free, no
Right.
matter where you get, right?
Right. So I mean, I think the biggest thing is going back to you know, that person that's about to leave college, leave high school, enter into college, or trying to weigh their options, is one, trying to find out, you know, it's hard at that age to find out who you are, but what do you like? What do you aspire to? And really pursue that. And in a sense of, maybe school's not the best answer for you, but maybe school is. Maybe there's certain segments of it. Maybe you're popping in and you're auditing some classes,
Of course.
and to learn some knowledge and
Yep.
some different things. And the other thing is too is, I mean, you've been doing this, and you're learning from other people.
Exactly.
I think that's the biggest thing, is like, if I could create a core group of individuals, which is what I've done, you know, now I've got a group of advisors, but if I would have had that group of advisors maybe when I was 18, 19, I may not have gone to school. I would have used them as a resource to
Right.
train and develop, because that's wisdom, right? I've learned by a lot of, you know, challenges and mistakes that I've made, but how much smarter would it have been if I'd have learned from somebody that went before me,
Of course.
and had a better experience through what they've done. I may not have made those same mistakes.
Right.
You know, so trying to, you know, kind of jumping around a little bit, but you know, that college question is tough.
Yeah.
You know, you really got to understand what it is you want, what you like, and go after it. And it may not be school, or it might be school to go get up that finance degree or understand business, because there's definitely benefits to it. I've learned some things, like I said, I developed life skills from being in college,
Right.
but I also developed, you know, some other business, labor, some other things that I look back on
Yep.
that made sense. I may not remember exactly, you know, what I crammed for that
Of
test,
course.
but I know that it taught me some things on how to plan and how to schedule, and all those things that come with, you know, going to school. It teaches you responsibility.
Right, exactly. So to kind of recap that and to bring it all together, and correct me if I'm wrong, you know, in any of this, I think, like we talked about, the plan when going into school, not construction. Like, I always look for what's that laser focus. I think that can relate. A lot of people can relate to that. Not construction, not commercial. I mean, you said the word residential
Yeah.
in there. You were focused on that. You
Yeah.
had been in residential with your dad. You had flipped some properties. You had seen that.
Yep.
You felt comfortable enough. 17, 18, 19-year-old Tim Winter knew residential.
Yeah.
I think that's something to take from this. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be, I want to build bathrooms, but just understanding, you know, kind of that area where you want to live, I think
Exactly.
is something important and keeps you moving, motivated.
Exactly, and that might be something too, that there's a lot of opportunity in the trades right now. We have a lot of opportunity to go learn to be an electrician, a plumber, a trim carpenter. They don't even exist. Great trim carpenters are hard to find right now. You know, in this construction world, it would be awesome if kids would look at pursuing those opportunities, not just this mindset of we've got to go to college to get a job.
Right.
There's a lot of great opportunities out there. I mean, plumbers, you know, can do very well for themselves.
Absolutely.
You know, you got to start from the ground up and learn some things, and then from there you step into maybe running a plumbing operation, or you know, you're a part of a general manager for an organization like that. I mean, the trades is another area that I think does not get discussed. You know what I mean? It doesn't get discussed because we're always looking. Brett, who's my VP operations, we're always looking for new vendors and the right vendors.
Right.
The ones that understand business. Because there's a lot of vendors out there that they don't understand business,
Exactly.
which makes our lives a lot more challenging because now we're playing administrator for them.
Right.
But if they understood it, they'd have a lot of success. So don't knock the trades.
Yeah, no, I love that thought process. Absolutely. All right, that's going to wrap up chapter 1. We're going to get into the second chapter, part of this Tim Winter series on the Build It Better podcast. Chapter 2, we're going to discuss basically his first position as a professional in the construction industry coming out of college, and kind of that transition period